teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own.
Not your average nigga, I'm a god out the hood. They can't downplay me, I came up, I'm elevated. I ain't gotta say too much for them to know I'm coming for what's mine. You know they see me in my presence, say they see how I'm coming. Young, but you not just gonna finesse me like you did my peoples. Then back when you said they was emancipated. This ain't that. Your head too big, you feeling yourself. The game wasn't fair, you had the advantage, we wasn't educated. I don't look at you people the same. Nah. Your worst nightmare, my skin tone about them chains. Yeah. Not no circus lion, son, I can't be tamed. You gon' have to kill me, pussy, Toby ain't my name. Y'all still want us think our history started when we were slaves? What? Come on now, talk about them pyramids we made. I was chosen by that man, you know y'all just been running game. The nerve of you acting like...
All right, what's going on, family? We back. We are back. We had some technical difficulties, but I think we good to go. I see the numbers is doing what the numbers supposed to do. I need YouTube to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Smash that like button. Hit that bell so you can stay notified every time we drop a video. I need the Twitter family to retweet, and I need Facebook to share, and share. Let me... is this the... Dang, I forgot where I wanted... Oh. Where I wanted to read from. All right, hold on. Hold on, y'all. Oh, yeah, here we go. All right, there you go. All right, so yeah, family. So listen, vote for America or vote for God. Vote for America or vote for God. That is tonight's topic. For those who may not have had an opportunity to hear from our National Assistant Student Minister Ishmael Muhammad last Sunday, this past Sunday, as well as the Sunday before that, well, 2 Sundays ago actually, where he actually was honored to give the Holy Day of Atonement message. He talked about the candidates and which one of the candidates would be able to save the American people or the people from the wrath of God. So that is what the topic was, and he did a part 2 this past Sunday. So you want to go and you want to check those out, okay? Because it's very insightful. And I want to tonight, man, I really want to, I'm going to read something from the Final Call newspaper. That's what I'm looking at. I'm going to read something from the Holy Quran. I have that open as well. And I just been waiting and really listening to the language of these politicians. So let me get this video pulled up. Let me cue this video up real quick. Because that's what's been troubling me is the language of these politicians and the mindset of the people who have gone out and are really invested in what's going on. Because it's not just the candidates, but it's the people too. And when you get on Twitter and you get on social media platforms and you see people discussing the election, everything is so hyper aggressive. Everything is so... Everything is so hyper aggressive and everything is so volatile right now. Everything is so hyper aggressive and everything is so volatile right now. And that's concerning because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in Savior's Day 2020, he talked about the mask of civility. The mask of civility for white people. And how that mask was going to continuously be peeled away. And this was in 2020. Will we get to a point now where the language, the vitriol, the vocabulary that's used is just all the way in the gutter? It's just all the way in the gutter right now. So let me get this video pulled up And I saw this exchange on Instagram earlier today, and I said, wow, this is an example of what the minister was talking about. Because, I mean, these people was just, the conversation was so low. It was so disrespectful. See if I can download this bad boy, download to your device. I hope this joint work. Hope it ain't corrupted or nothing. Okay, so I need that video, but that's not the one I wanted. Y'all can just bear with me for a second while I download these videos. All right, video 2. Video 3. All right. Oops, I hope I downloaded video 3. Okay, I did. I downloaded video 3. So is this the one I want? Yep, that's the one I want right here. All right, so let me cue this video up for us, family. And as we watch, hit the comment section. Let me know what city and state that you tuned in from. And let me know your thoughts. Oops, hit the wrong button. Let me know your thoughts on this conversation.
Don't want to be called Nazis. Stop doing.
You're called an
You've been
called an anti-Semite more than anyone else at this table.
Yeah.
And people will
By
sit there
you.
and no, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying I don't.
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. I'm used to it. It's
Yeah,
fine.
well, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is that
you just say I should
wow.
die?
You should not.
No, I
Did
said,
you just say
no,
I should be killed?
No, I did not
Live on
say that. I
CNN?
said, no, I did not say that.
Hold on, hold on.
Did your guest just say I
No,
should
I
be
didn't.
killed?
Let me-
hold on.
On live
say?
TV.
I said I hope
Guys,
you don't.
let me just stop.
You said you
Let
hope
me-
my beeper
beeper
doesn't
doesn't
go
go.
off.
Because you sound like a big
Stop that
supporter
right now.
Of the Palestinians.
of Hamas.
Guys, let me
I said
stop.
Palestinians.
Are you a supporter
Am I
of
what?
Hamas?
No, of course I'm not.
Palestinians
supporting
are
Hamas.
not-
Then I apologize.
Are you a
Ryan.
Then I
racist,
apologize.
violent person
Then I
inciting
apologize.
violence against me?
Ryan. That's disgusting. That is completely.
No, I apologize.
That
Good
is
job, CNN.
completely
Let's have first
out
block
of
say the
pocket.
Muslim guy
You
should
know
be
that.
blown
Then I
up
apologize.
on
Then I
TV.
apologize.
Don't
Then I
say.
apologize.
Don't say. Then I
Wow.
apologize. You literally.
I
accused
thought he said
him.
Hamas. I apologize.
You didn't think I said
No.
Hamas.
Yes,
I
you
said I
didn't.
supported
Yes, I did.
Palestinian
Yes, I
rights.
did.
Why? Because when you hear
What's funny
Palestinian,
is
you
Rudy
hear
Giuliani
Hamas.
said this
No,
yesterday,
because-
so you're a great guest
Listen.
to be here
All
to
right,
defend
I
Rudy
told
Giuliani.
myself- Give me I'm going to entertain give me one nonsense second. today, and so at this point,
This is what we're in
I
now.
can't
This
do
is America in
Here's what
2024.
I will say.
Forget the
Here's what
racism.
that's right.
It's I should
That's
die.
right.
I didn't
That's-
say
that-
that. You
You
should
said,
die.
what does beeper mean? Don't give me your
I
fake
did not say
ignorance.
you should
Guys,
die.
Why did you say
guys,
with my
give me-
beeper
give me-
go
So
off?
what did you mean?
What did you mean by the beeper?
So what
I
did
said-
you mean?
What did you
No,
mean by the
no, no,
beeper?
no, 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 no,
No, you didn't. You said, I hope your
Listen,
beeper doesn't go off.
Ryan, stop talking.
At least have the guts to support your racist
sorry.
comment.
I'm
on.
so sorry.
Let her bring it back.
This is why yesterday's rally was disgusting.
Don't call us
and
Nazis, but I'm going to
outrageous.
threaten the brown guy as a
This is
terrorist
why.
and kill him.
Because I didn't ever say Donald Trump was Hitler. But do you know who stood on a stage yesterday and said, I want to come to the Nazi rally? I don't have to make up words and call you something. You're saying it for yourself. And what you just said
Kamala
right
Harris
here,
is a pimp
apologize,
handler.
but I will tell you, I don't accept that apology, and you didn't even
That's
say it to
fine.
me.
I didn't say it
that
to
was
you.
disgusting. But I can be offended when you don't even say it to
That's-
me. I'm not Puerto Rican, but I was offended by what he said
Okay.
yesterday. And I'm offended that the
And this goes to this is my point. And this is what the minister was saying. The mask of civility. So you know how easy it was for him to come out and disrespect the Palestinian brother. Because there was, and let me just pull up the reference to the beeper for those who missed it, okay? Let me pull up the reference to the beeper because you'll get it in a second. Let me pull it up, okay? Here we go. All right, so this is the reference of the beeper he was talking about. So you're talking about the Palestinians and you're talking about Israel. When he said, I hope your beeper, you better hope your beeper don't go off. Israel concealed explosives inside batteries of pages sold to Hezbollah Lebanese official said. So Israel put bombs inside of beepers or pagers, whatever you want to call them, and they killed Palestinians. Okay, it killed Palestinians. So that's what he was referring to when he said, "I hope your beeper doesn't go off." That's how low. That's how trifling. That's how degenerative we have become in our conversation. That a Palestinian person has to be insulted the way that man was insulted because he said he was a supporter of the Palestinian people, and the other guy didn't agree with that. So he insults him and makes fun of those who were killed in the Israeli attack on Palestinians with the use of pagers or beepers. That's what that was about. All right, listen, family, I need y'all to like, share, and subscribe. Need you to post this out. Let me see. Let me make sure we good to go on this page right here on my pages, because I don't even know if we live on the pages. Okay, say we live. Okay, so we good. But yeah, just need y'all help. Let's share this out so we can get as much engagement on this as possible. But that's what we have going on. All right. I'm sharing this out, so just excuse your brother for a second. And we're going to jump right into it. Okay, need that one, this one, that one. It's crazy because you had these groups that claim to be like black news groups or stuff like that, but they will not share your stuff. They will not allow you to post your stuff. So, okay, yep, that was a group of them. Okay, so he made fun of that. So that's an example. That's an example of what I mean by the language and the discourse has gotten so low vibrational. And even when you get on social media and you look at what happens on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter was X now. When you get on Facebook, look at the conversations. When you see what's going on Instagram and in the comment sections of these posts, you see how violent and how low the conversation is, how dirty the conversation is, the language that we use. We've gotten at each other's throats because we're not deciding on which party of these demons that we're going to vote for. And I'm going to just talk straight. Because what we seem to not understand is that the bird that symbolizes the United States of America is the bald eagle. And on each side of that bald eagle is a wing. One wing is the Democratic wing. One wing is the Republican wing. There are two wings on the same bird. There are two wings on the same bird. So no matter which way you slice it, neither one of the wings are separated from the bird. So the American government or the United States government is one. Half of it's DNC, half of it's RNC. None of them have done anything worthwhile for black people and poor people in America. None of them. Neither one of them. Now, you can say that you benefited from the policies. You got the right to vote. That's true. You got some good policies. If you call, government assistance a cool thing, public schools a cool thing, people who needed them, you know what I'm saying? I used to get reduced lunch, free lunch. So people benefited from the policies. But I'm talking about the correction, the restoration, the restoring that black people have needed ever since we were put into bondage in this country over 469 years ago. Over 469 years ago, where's the repair? Where's the restoration? Where is the relief for black people in that regard? I'm talking about true freedom, true justice, and true liberation. True equality. Now, the teachings say that the open enemy is not going to make us equal with him because his nature is not to make us equal with him. So I don't have no problems with that. But I do have a problem with us sitting on social media and we are advocating for one or the other of these parties as a black person and have not received anything in return of value for your support of these candidates or any of these parties. You got to talk to me tonight. You got to talk to me tonight about this because I see it. I see people with large platforms saying that if black men are not voting for one candidate, then you should be ashamed of yourself. If you're voting for another candidate, you hate yourself. You are putting the open enemy into the office. You're putting a white man into the office. Hey, I can agree with that. You're absolutely right. If you're going to vote for President Donald Trump, clearly you putting a white man in office. That's the choice that you're making. And then obviously if you make a choice to vote for Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, then that's your right to do so as well. But my issue is, why does it have to become so violent? Why does it have to become so argumentative? Why does it have to be so abrasive and so defensive? The reason why is because the media, I'm gonna tell you what happened. The media has hoodwinked you. The media has hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, led astray you, and you have been socially engineered and have been a victim to election and campaign tampering. You don't even know it. You don't even know it. You don't even know that they have done that. They have done that. How, Brother King Cam? They've done that through the use of media and propaganda. They made you believe that one of the other candidates is so worse. It's so bad. And that one is so much worse than the other that your livelihood is tied directly to who you vote for. As if after November the 5th and January, I think they swear into office, January 1st or something like that, January 3rd or something like that, when they swear into office, that you still not going to work your job. You still not going to have them bills that's due every 30 days. Like your life is going to automatically stop because of whoever is elected or have been selected to be the president of the United States of America November the 5th. Come November 5th. Come November 6th, you going to work. Come January 3rd, you're going to be at work. But we have allowed propaganda. We've allowed the propaganda and the media machine to make you believe that some of these candidates, one of these candidates is somehow a threat to democracy. That's the terminology that they use. They're saying that, the people are insane. They're saying that President Trump is insane. He's not a sane person. He is, not mentally well. He's a threat to democracy. These are the terms that they're using. Then they're talking about Vice President Kamala Harris and her border situation and her handling of the border and how she's incompetent and Trump has called her dumb. If you listen to the way that these politicians talk about one another, this is uncivilized behavior. This is savage behavior. And see, the lessons teach us that a savage is a person who has lost the knowledge of themselves and living a beast life. That's the definition of a savage. A person, one who has lost the knowledge of themselves and living a beast life. And this is what these politicians are acting like. They acting like the beasts of the field. See, when lions have a disagreement, they fight and kill one another. They scrape and claw and bite. That's what happened. When dogs have a disagreement, they fight and scrape and claw and bite one another and fight. This is what the beasts of the field do. This is where you have no knowledge and no wisdom to combat, so you're going to fight. So a savage, because they have lost the knowledge of themselves, because these politicians have lost the knowledge of themselves, they live in a beast life. That's what you have going on. All right. So Student Minister Ishmael talked about how America is under divine chastisement. And if we are any students of the scriptures, then we would understand that we are living in the time of the prophecy fulfilled. We are living in the time of the prophecy being fulfilled. So this is no longer the Bible that you read is not some old history book. That was bothering me. It's not some old history book that's not relevant to your life. The Bible that you read is not an old history book dealing with ancient civilizations, ancient people, old prophets that have no bearing on your life in 2024. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have taught us that the scriptures, both Bible and Quran, are 75% prophecy, 25% history. 75% prophecy, 25% history. Now, that means most of what you read is for a future people. So all of the stuff that you read in the Exodus about Moses and leading the children of Israel out of Egypt and out of bondage, that's mostly prophetic stuff. Because when you check the history books in Egypt, when you check the history in Egypt, Egypt don't have no record of anybody named Moses leading anybody named Jews out of Egypt 4,000 years ago. So because they don't have a historical record of that existing in the past, that means that is prophetic language. That's a prophetic story, and one who would come like Moses, one who would be a Moses would be of a people who was in bondage. One who would be a liberator for a people who would be in bondage to a wicked taskmaster, to somebody like a Pharaoh. See, president isn't mentioned in the scriptures, but Pharaoh's mentioned in the scriptures, and a wicked ruler is mentioned in the scriptures, and kings are mentioned in the scriptures. And all of those descriptive words fall up under what a president is. A president is a pharaoh in the United States of America. The president is the king in the United States of America. The president is the ruler in the United States of America. So because the word president isn't used in the scriptures doesn't mean it doesn't apply. See, we got to learn to see what is not written and be able to understand what is written and put it together. Because in Revelation, it does talk about a mystery Babylon, meaning that there would be a nation like Babylon or a civilization like Babylon, but this one would be an unknown, because that's what mystery stands for. It means unknown. So what nation is unknown but is also like Babylon? Well, the only nation that has not received a messenger or a warner had been the nation in the West, because all of the prophets that you read about in the scriptures, all of that took place in the East. All of that took place over there in what they call Iraq and North Africa and Mecca and Arabia. That's where that's where Moses was at. That's where Noah was at. That's where Daniel was at. See, that's where all the prophets was at. That was Prophet Muhammad. Jesus was in Palestine. See, all of that was over there in the East. Prophet Muhammad, that's Arabia. That's in the East. So what is the mystery Babylon? That mystery Babylon. What is that civilization? What's that kingdom? Huh? So there are many other scriptures that describe America. There are many other scriptures that describe America. It says that Babylon has become a habitation of devils. That's in the book of Revelation. Well, when you look at America, we're talking about the border. America let anybody come over here. You got to remember, if you go back through history, there was people already here in North America before the white man got here. And when the white man got here, he found the Native Americans already here, or what are called the Red Indians. And they got their name because the Indians were not originally from America. The Indians are originally from Arabia. But as we are taught, India. But as we are taught, they were actually exiled from India for not following the law of Islam, and they were put out into the wilderness of North America. Let's talk about the history. So that's how the Indians got to over here. That's how the Indians got here. So they got put over here 16,000 years ago. Then pops up Columbus. And when they get over here, then what happens is they see the Native Americans or the Red Indians, people are already here. But guess where Columbus and them was coming from? Columbus and them was coming up out of Europe. They had been in Europe for 1,000 years bottled up. So when they broke out and they started searching and they started traveling, they get over here to North America, bam. Now they found people over here. But see, North America was what the original people used as a prison for the rebels. So you got the 16,000-year-old Indian rebel who rebelled against the law of Islam over here in North America. Now the new rebel from 6,000 years ago, the Caucasian, now he break up out of Europe, out of the caves and hillsides of Europe after we put him in there. Then he break out of there, and now he in North America. So then he say, well, we about to conquer this land over here in North America, and we're going to subjugate the indigenous people who are the Native Americans. So thus begins his rule, and he started doing this in all inhabited parts of the planet. Because, see, the minister described the Caucasian like a baby. And you know how a baby, when babies are, just exploring the world as they come into their selves, they come into being able to crawl, and then they learn how to walk, and they just exploring different stuff. So they always going up and down the stairs, looking in the stairs, falling down the stairs, looking in closets, pulling stuff down. Why? Because they're exploring. They trying to see, expand their territory. Well, the Caucasian is the same way. He was trying to expand his territory. Once he got out of the hills and cave sides of Europe, in the Caucasus Mountains, he was trying to expand his territory. And everywhere he went, he found indigenous people. And then they started to subjugate the indigenous people. And what they call it is imperialism and colonialism. Meaning they're going to come in, they're going to subjugate the people that are there through force. And then once they subjugate the people that are there, they're going to now begin to indoctrinate them into their way of life. So they're going to bring you into their society and bring you into their social, bring you into their social life. Terminology. Let me get the terminology right. Right? So this is what's going on. That's called colonialism and imperialism. So let me just read it straight from the lessons. I'm going to bring you straight into his social equality. But for real, they don't want you around their social equality. Once you start knowing the true them, then what happens is they really don't want you to know. So it says right here, it says, why does the devil keep our people apart from his social equality? So this is why part of the reason why white people won't make you equal with them is because when you really know who they are, then they don't want you around them because you really not like them. You ain't into this stuff. So that's when you start, all of our people that's into like Boule and the Cabal and, all of that stuff. And you get into, the weird human sacrifices and stuff. White people been doing that. When you look in our history, you'll see that the origin of barbecue comes from the Caucasian hanging a black person and then hanging them from the tree, and then under that tree they would form a fire, and then they would burn that person. They would burn them, and they would harvest the organs in the flesh. I'm just keeping it real. That's where barbecue originated from. Caucasian people would burn black people and then harvest the flesh. You really don't know who you're dealing with. See, that's their real social equality, but they don't want you to know nothing about that. So it says they keep you apart from it because he does not want us to know how filthy he is in all of his affairs. He is afraid because when we learn about him, we will run him from among us. See, so when you really know who these people are and how they get down, you don't want to be around them like that anyway. The problem is, though, you don't really know them, so you think they okay. You think they cool. So that's who you dealing with. That's the enemy. And now you about to sit up here and you about to encourage people to keep putting their faith in the system that's falling down. Keep putting their faith in the system that's falling down. That's crazy. What's going on, family? I hadn't even looked at the comment section. What's going on? Man, peace, peace, peace. That's right. That's right, Brother Vaughn. And give our body parts away as souvenirs and keep them. You know what Jeffrey Dahmer used to do. Jeffrey Dahmer, when they busted him, he had the body parts of his victims in his refrigerator. He had the body parts of his victims in his refrigerator, family. We can't make this up. This is history. But see, the problem is we don't understand who we want to be close with because we don't read and we don't study. And they do. And the crazy part about it, Brother Vaughn, is that they keep history of they wicked killers. So they made a whole Jeffrey Dahmer special on Netflix, and we watched it. They made a whole Jeffrey Dahmer special on Netflix, and we watched it. But yet and still, we still find ourselves trying to have nearness with our enemy. Now, that's not saying all Caucasian people are sitting around eating people like Jeffrey Dahmer was doing. But we just talking about the nature of these people. And as we go through their history, you can find so many instances of where this took place. And why was this not called out from those who was among them who did not agree with this behavior? That's the point. That's the problem that I have when black people come and start to try to save white folks and say, well, every white person ain't like that. Okay, so where was the ones that won't like that? And why didn't they report they Caucasian brothers and sisters when they seen them barbecuing your brothers and sisters on a damn tree? Where was they at? Well, where was the good Caucasian people at then? It's always some black person that's trying to save white people. And they ain't even asked to be saved. They didn't ask you to come in, but here you come sacrificing and running interference, and they didn't even ask you to come. They didn't even ask you to do that. So listen, family, this is your brother King Cam. I appreciate everybody for tapping in. The conversation tonight is around vote for America or vote for God. We just going through the history of how we even get to this point, because we was talking about the political system, but we was just running through how the Caucasian has come and dominated all the indigenous people on the planet Earth through imperialism and colonialism, where they come in by force and they subjugate the native people. And then they try to flip the native people into their social equality. So they've been doing this for a long time. They even did it among themselves. They did it in Europe. So you have France and Italy and Great Britain and the United States of America. They went in and subjugated Europe. It's a technique called partitioning, where they would go in to a country and then they would split that country up. Never mind the people that's already living there. Now, this is European people. They did this in Russia. Russia, Great Britain, the United States, France, they would go in and they would partition other countries. Half of it would be, Russia would take half. And they call that Soviet Union. And then another piece would be the United States, then another piece would be France, and then another piece would be Great Britain. They did that in Europe. And then they did it in Africa. Then they tried to do it in China. Then they did it in India. And any of the leaders in these countries that tried to stand up against this type of behavior was labeled a communist, right? They were labeling people communists, the leader communist, and then they would work to overthrow that government. So they would try to assassinate the leaders. So they try to assassinate Fidel Castro. They try to assassinate Mao Zedong. They tried to take out all of the people who was trying to stand up against this partitioning that was going on. It happened in Korea, where they went and partitioned Korea. They went and took South Korea and said, this is for, this for us. And then the North Koreans, they stood up and said, no, we not bowing to that. We standing on our own 10. So this has been the history. So now let's get to America. See, this is the politics that America operates on. And this is what they call democracy. Their democracy, what their idea of democracy is, what our democracy is to America, is that we believe that the ideals and principles that we uphold ourselves to should be the standard of life everywhere in the world. And because Americans believe that, whatever you doing in your country is now become our business. So if we don't like what you're doing in your country, we're going to come in and we're going to establish our way of life in your country. And we're going to call it democracy. And if you don't like democracy, then we come in with the military and we're going to make you like democracy. That's why they set up bases all over the world. There's United States bases all over the world. Not just in the United States. They got United States bases in all countries all over the world. Why? Because they're there to establish the American way of life. Damn your way of life. It's the American way of life or bust. And then what they do is they would create strategic partnerships with other countries, with other nations, and say, listen, we got a big, bad military. Matter of fact, we got the biggest, baddest military. But we don't want to be fighting all day long with y'all. We don't want to just be beefing all the time. So what's going to happen is we're going to establish democracy in these countries. And we're going to allow you the opportunity to also come to these countries. Once we establish democracy there, we start putting and implanting our political leaders there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to let you get access to the country. So what happens is when they will partition these other nations, then these other nations got to plunder that country's resources, because that's what it was about. It was about getting the resources. They didn't have the resources that they needed in these Western powers. They didn't have the resources. They didn't have the raw materials. So they had to get them from Asia. They had to get them from South America. They had to get them from Africa. So because all of the European nations wanted the raw materials of the indigenous people in the continents, they would go in, subjugate the people, and then they would plunder, and they would steal, and they would rob, and they would take from that country, those lands, those raw materials, so that they can now import and export goods. I'm just running it down for you real quick, United States government, and how they operate. This is their foreign policy, okay? This is their government now. But over here, they tell you that you voting for democracy. So when you hear them say that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, you got to really understand what they're saying. What are they really talking about? He's a threat to how they operate in their foreign policy. And they got a problem with that. And Donald Trump got a problem with the way that they go about their foreign policy. So he want to implement some different things. Okay? But the bottom line is though none of them have the black man and woman in their mind and have any of your best interests top of mind. That's just getting right to it. So while we sitting up here going back and forth, I'm going to vote blue or I'm going to vote red, they ain't thinking about you. Only reason they thinking about you is because they would like to have your vote to help them get elected. That's how the system works. We need your vote. That's how we get elected. So they come in and they start talking to you and promising you things that they have no intention of delivering. No intention of delivering. So listen to this. Because we hadn't even got into the Holy Quran. I got into the history and didn't even get into the Holy Quran. So the Holy Quran says this, and this is what go back to what I was saying about the 75% prophecy, 25% history. So the Holy Quran says this. This is coming from Surah or chapter 35. And this is Surah 35, chapter 35, verse 24, 25, and 26. It says, surely we have sent thee with the truth as a bearer of good news and a warner. And there is not a people, but a warner has gone among them. And if they reject thee, those before them also rejected. Their messengers came to them with clear arguments and with scriptures and with the illuminating book. Then I, Allah, seized those who disbelieve. So horrible was my disapproval. So, what is the Holy Quran saying to us in this particular chapter, in these verses? That surely we have sent thee with truth, with the truth as a bearer of good news and a warner. So this is how it's set up. Anytime the people have gone off of the path of God, have deviated, got into idol worship, become pagan holiday worshipers. I did prison ministry earlier today. That's why I'm suited and booted. I was in prison ministry before I came and jumped on this. And we go into the jail and it's Halloweened out. You know, goons and goblins all up and through the jail. And then in a second, you're going to see turkeys everywhere. You got turkeys and pumpkins and all of the festivities for Thanksgiving. Then after that, you're going to transition into Christmas. And they lying to you, telling you it's Jesus' birthday, and you going to get trees and hang your trees up and deck them with lights and put wreaths on your door, and you're going to put silver and gold on the tree, even though in the Old Testament it tell you that's the behavior of the heathens. But because we don't read the Bible, we just talk the Bible. We just talk Bible. We don't read Bible though. Because if you read it, there's no way you call yourself a follower of Christ and you got a Christmas tree. Don't get me started. So, but that's the deviation from the path of God. So now when you have a people who have deviated from the path of God, now God has to send a warner, a messenger with a clear message that's going to give you good news. Because what you don't know is that once you have deviated from the path of God, you now become on God's list to be destroyed. But before God executes his judgment on the people, he gives mercy. And he gives mercy by raising one from among that people with a clear message. He don't give you somebody that don't speak your language. See, he give you somebody from among those people because the message got to be clear. So you won't have an excuse to say you didn't understand. Look how beautiful God is. Look how merciful God is when it comes to you and I. Because he could just execute. He could just execute his judgment and then put a new people in your place and don't even worry about you. But the God don't do that. The God don't do that. He said, I ain't going to do him like that. I'm going to give him an opportunity. So he gives us an opportunity. So the Holy Quran is saying, surely we have sent thee with the truth as a bearer of good news and a warner. So God gives us a bearer of truth. and a warner to help get us back on the right path. And then it says, if they reject thee, those before them also rejected. And that's why the Holy Quran says, have you not traveled in the land and seen what the end was for those who came before you? That's why when it says Mystery Babylon, it's talking about a nation who would be like ancient Babylon. But the Quran tells you, look back at ancient Babylon and what happened to them. Look back at ancient Egypt and what happened to them. Back at ancient Sodom and Gomorrah. What happened to them? See, when you travel in the land, we really don't know what's happening because we don't really leave the United States of America and go nowhere that's worthwhile. We go down to Tulum and we go to DR and we hanging out in Jamaica and all these places like that. And that's cool, but you ain't really went to check out and see what your book's talking about. Let's go to these locations. The Bible is geographical. It gives you locations so you can go and follow up on this stuff. Instead of just believing what your pastor's telling you on Sunday, you can actually go and travel to these places, travel in the land and see what the end was for those who came before. And so it tell you that. So if we jump over here to this, jump over to this in the Quran. What this got to do with voting? I'm getting to it because this is important for us to understand, because we talking about voting and we talking about voting for America or voting for God. So I'm laying out the way God rolled, and I laid out for you how America rolled. And now we got to understand now, when we going out here and we saying that we're going to participate in this activity of voting, but what is the end result going to be? We got to know what we facing before we make a decision on the action that we're going to take, because the action has to affect what we facing. If the judge tell you facing 20 years, all of your actions, all of your deeds, all of your plans has to be, okay, how I'm going to avoid the 20 years. The judge can't tell you you're going to face 20 years and then all your actions is like, oh, well, shoot, I ain't worried about what the judge talking about in 20 years. I'm over here working on something else. No, that's not how that works. Because when it comes time for judgment after the trial, and then you're sentenced, you either found guilty or innocent, and then there's sentencing. So when judgment comes, the 20 years is back in effect. What did you do to try to avoid the 20-year sentence? So we know that America is under divine chastisement. We know that. So because America is under divine chastisement, what moves are we going to make to try to avert the chastisement? And does voting help us avert the chastisement? This is why Student Minister Ishmael was teaching on which one of the presidential candidates can save the people from the wrath of God. Because if what you engaging in, voting, is not going to save you from the wrath of God, then I'm appealing to my brothers and sisters. Why are we engaging in that? Why are we engaging in that? Now, the Holy Quran says this, and this is in chapter 47, verse 10. Have they not traveled in the land and seen what was the end of those before them? Allah destroyed them. And for the disbelievers is the like thereof. That is because Allah is the patron of those who believe, and because the disbelievers have no patron. So then it goes down into verse 13. And it says, and how many a town more powerful than thy town, which has driven thee out? We destroyed them, so there was no helper for them. So how many a town, how many a nation? Because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam, is in America warning you and her about what she's facing. Warning you, warning her, warning us about what she's facing. God's wrath is on us. And now The government has been working for 90 years to drive the nation out, drive thee out. They wanted to drive the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad out. They worked to drive Malcolm and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad apart because Malcolm at that time in the 50s was his strongest student. And they've worked to drive the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan out. But the Quran says, how many a town more powerful than thy town which has driven thee out? So how many a town, a nation that was more powerful than thee? When they tried to drive Moses out, Egypt, they tried to drive Moses and Aaron out. At the time, the nation and civilization of people tried to drive Abraham out. They tried to drive Noah out. They tried to drive Jesus out. They tried to drive Muhammad out. And what does it say that happened to them towns? We destroyed them. So there was no helper for them. So that's Quran, right? Just giving you the backdrop. All right, now back to voting. Let's get back to this because you like, man, brother, I ain't come here to listen to that. I want to hear about voting. Okay, well, let's talk about the vote. So, what does Student Minister Ishmael said? What does he say? He said he was quoting from notes and guidance given by Minister Farrakhan, compared America to Nineveh and Babylon, two biblical cities threatened with destruction by God. One was spared, the other destroyed due to their response to a message of atonement from their prophets. So, the minister lifted up Nineveh. If you go and you study Jonah, Jonah was the prophet or messenger that was sent to Nineveh. Now, Nineveh was a kingdom or a biblical city, and they were in error, as all nations of people are in error. So, at a particular time, God raised up Jonah to go and to warn them. So Jonah goes and he warns the king of Nineveh of the wrath of God. And the king of Nineveh and the people of Nineveh heed the warning of Jonah, and they repent and they atone for the wrongs that they have done. They confess their sins. And as the scripture says, they came out in sackcloth and ashes, and they repented and they atoned, and God averted his wrath on Nineveh. And I believe she was given another 300 years to thrive and to prosper and to survive. All praise is due to Allah, right? That's Nineveh. That's Nineveh. Now, Babylon, not so lucky. Babylon was arrogant. Babylon was powerful. Nebuchadnezzar and Belshazzar. These were the rulers of Babylon. And they had a warner that was given to them, Daniel. So Daniel comes to them and say, hey, listen, you are staring down the barrel of the wrath of God. And here's what you have to do to be able to avert the wrath of God. And, Babylon wasn't listening to that. They wasn't atoning. They wasn't repenting. Even after Daniel tells them your kingdom has been weighed in the balance and has been found wanting. The writing was on the wall in Babylon. The economy had failed. The leadership was in confusion. They appeared to the people to be insane. Now, you tell me who I'm describing. Ancient Babylon, or am I talking about the United States of America? And because they did not heed the warning, Allah destroyed them. Destroyed that nation, destroyed that people. So now think about how arrogant America is. America don't even consider reparations. You talk to these politicians and they say, yeah, we're going to study it. That's what happened when they blowing you off. They tell you, yeah, we're going to study. That's what, yeah, we're going to study it. It's always a study. But the problem is, and what you and I don't know if we don't study, is that they have already been through this reparations hoop before. They've already paid this out to the Japanese, and they've paid reparations to Germany, and they paid money to Israel every year, and they've given money to Ukraine, and they got funding for Afghanistan when they want to have funding for Saudi Arabia when they want to have funding for them. So they're able to gather money together and to give money and provide resources for those who they want to provide resources for. The problem is they don't have it in their heart and in their nature to make their once slave equal to them. Because if they do the reparations, if they restore and repair us the way that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has suggested, we need a piece of land that we can call our own. Remember, I was telling you about the partitioning that they did in these other countries where Russia would take a piece of the country, United States would have a piece, and Great Britain would have a piece. Well, we could do that in America. Let's just partition America. Black America got half, white America got half. Partition. They've done it before. So these United States politicians and these military generals and these people that are in leadership are not ignorant to what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad presented. They're not ignorant to what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has presented. They're not ignorant to these concepts. They are very, very, very well aware of what's going on and what can be done. They just don't want to do it. And this is why the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, listen, this is what you asked for, but you might not get it. You probably won't get it because they don't have it in their nature to give it to you. Well, Brother Cam, why is it not in the nature? Why it's not in the nature? It's not in the nature because, see, when they was made, God gave them dominion. Gave them dominion. It's right there in the book of Genesis. Chapter 1, verse 26. See, it says, God made man in his image and his likeness. And then he gave him dominion over the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, and told him to subdue everything that creeping, all of the creatures that creep upon the earth, right? And to be fruitful and multiply. So his mindset is domination. His mindset is not submission. Even when the one who's demanding submission is God himself. So when you're dealing with that type of individual, it's only one way out for them. It's only one way out for that type of individual. But this is why they're not going to give you what you're asking for, because they not made that way. It's just simple and plain. They're just not made that way. That's why the program of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the leadership and guidance of the minister is how you get what you want. But you got to work for it, though. But going to the polls to vote for one of your oppressors versus another type of oppressor is not going to get you what you want. And I'm here to tell you right now, that ain't what you want. That's not the problems that you want. You don't really want these people to keep governing you. That's not what you want. So, you know the saying, be careful what you ask for? This is that. This is that playing out in real time now. Be careful what you asking for. Because you're about to get what you asking for, and you're not about to like it. So, let me play this for you, and then we getting up out of here. Because it's 11:30. All right, I'm about to play this for you, and then we going to roll. Because Brother Minister Ishmael made it plain on how, with the on the guidance given to us by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the 60s about this upcoming election in 2024. And then we gone.
Who Who of the presidential candidates can save the American people from the wrath of God? Many of us are heavily involved in politics. Yes, we are. Heavily invested in the election. So here is what your brother Elijah Muhammad said in the 60s, which is for today. He said from his monumental book, Fall of America, this election is one of the most serious in the history of the American government, because either party that seeks the office of presidency is faced with the problem of saving the lives of the people of America. If the present party, Democrat, remains in office, you know the answer. If the Republican Party takes over, you should know the answer. He said there will be a lull before the storm. He said the storm can be delayed, and every hour and day that it can be delayed is to your benefit. He said the black man of America has been privileged by the slave master's children for the last century to vote for whites for the offices to judge and rule. And this freedom to vote has made the black man in America feel very dignified and proud of himself. I don't think he said it like that. He goes to the polls very happy to vote for a white ruler. Today, he's gradually changing to a desire to vote for his own kind for such offices of authority. But we must remember that our vote is strong and powerful only when and where the white man can use it to get in the office over his white opponent. After the election and the victory, there are few favors that come from his office to the black voters who helped him and aided him in getting in the office. Why? Because he doesn't owe the black voter anything as long as he has to feed, clothe, and shelter him. He said the black vote could be cast or not cast. The white citizens of the government are going to win and continue to rule anyway. There's much talk of this man and that man and who shall the vote of the people put in the White House for the next 4 years. How much good have the two parties, Republican and Democrat, done for us for the last century in the way of freedom, justice, and equality? Elijah Muhammad said, regardless of what party wins, the die is always set against us, black people in America. He said injustice, crooked politics, and the breeding of corruption under crooked politics have been practiced ever since Adam to the present day rulers. And he said Adam was the first crook. There has not been justice for the black man in this race of people, and this is why the race suffers from the effect of chaos today. There are black politicians, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, who would like to use their black people for selfish greed and will throw them behind any crook with money. Black politicians of this type have sold their black brothers to suffering and shame for self-elevation with the crook. So the black man should be very serious and careful about his voting, because 90% of the black votes cast are cast by ones who do not have the knowledge of what they're casting their vote for. I still say Elijah Muhammad, as I have said for many years, vote for God to be your ruler and come follow me. We're at the end now.
And we at the end now too, family. So listen. Student Minister Ishmael laid it out. From the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, 90% of those who cast their vote of votes that are cast from those who do not know what they're voting for. Most of us don't even know what we voting for. And the stuff that I laid out today is part of what you voting for. You think you're voting for democracy, but you don't really know what the meaning of democracy is. The minister said that democracy means rule of the devil. The minister broke the whole word down. Is that what you voting for? Are you voting to continue to miseducate your children? Are you voting to continue to socially engineer your children, indoctrinate your children into an education that's useless to being able to build something for themselves? You can't build a black nation on an old, archaic European education. If you could, you would have did it already. So clearly, that's not an education that's functional today. But you want to keep that education? You want to keep this system in place that unjustly locks up black men, unjustly persecutes black men, never give justice to those who deserve justice, and then misuse and abuse the criminal justice system to disproportionately lock up black men. That's the criminal justice system you want to preserve by participating in this election. This country that has high numbers of criminality, murder, rape, violence, robbery, stealing, arson. That's the type of society that you want to keep alive in the name of freedom. The high numbers and percentages of women that are abused and raped here in America. Most prisons in the world here in America. Obesity, sickness, death, destruction here in America. That's what you want to uphold by participating in this process that has done nothing for you but left you hungry, ragged, and out of doors, begging for jobs and justice. All the way back to Martin Luther King with the March on Washington in 1963. The cry was jobs and justice. In the 20-year anniversary, the cry was jobs and justice. Then you get up to 2010. This is when the minister said it. You want to march again. And the cry is jobs and justice. So the minister said, well, wait a minute. How long are we going to continue to beg white people to do for us what we have the power to do for ourselves? So we need to ask ourselves, are we going to vote for America, or are we going to vote for God, as Student Minister Ishmael just quoted from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and follow him? Because see, when we follow the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you following him into freedom. When you following a man who's teaching you the wisdom of God, you on your way to freedom. When you following his chief student, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you on your way to freedom. Because see, when you follow Farrakhan, you following Elijah. Got to say that one again. Don't get it confused. When you follow Farrakhan, you are following Elijah. And that's your salvation. That's your way out. Now, nobody said it was going to be easy. Heaven is not going to be dropped on you out of the sky. It says, as it is in heaven, so shall it be on earth. Right? Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. See? So the kingdom is going to be built on earth as it is in heaven. So don't get spooky on me. Don't get Apollo 11 on me. We got to stay here on earth and understand that we got to build our kingdom, build our freedom. And we're going to have to put the work in. We got to educate our children. That means we got to homeschool our children. We got to buy land, cultivate land. We got to tap in with the black farmers who got the machinery. We got to pool our resources together. We got to pool our knowledge, pool our wisdom, pool our money. We got to do all these different things. But we got black truckers, truck drivers who got expertise. We got black farmers, black nurses, black doctors, black lawyers, black architects, black dentists, black veterinarians. We got black teachers. We got black everything that we need in order to build a nation for ourselves. Only thing that we don't have is the unity. You got too many of those people I just named running down to the polls and putting their hope into a system that is on its way out. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote the book, not the predicted fall of America, not the fall of America that might happen, maybe the fall of America. It's definitive. It says the fall of America, meaning America is gonna fall. The government is going down. The question is, are you going down with it, family? Vote for America or you voting for God? I'm telling you now, the Nation of Islam is encouraging you, family. Let's vote for God and let's start to work on doing something for ourselves. I appreciate those who tapped in. I know we had some technical difficulties earlier and paused us out, timed us out and all of that stuff, but we was able to get back and, be able to have a decent conversation, fireside conversation with the family. And I just appreciate it. Listen, got to shout out my good brother. Got to shout out my good brother Nose Candy and all of the smell good, all of the colognes and the oils, right? All natural stuff too. I'm talking about he get to it. Make sure that it's not, don't have all them chemicals and stuff in it on your skin because your skin is absorbent. So you have to be careful what you put on your skin because the skin absorbs it. So he's very particular about what he puts into his colognes and the oils, but all of his smells is oil based. They're not chemical based. So it's a beautiful thing. So he just sent me a care package. I got 2 candles. I got about 4 or 5 different scents, and I got 2 sample scents. So he loaded me up. I got enough smell good to last me to the hereafter. So I'm going to be, I'm going to be rolling. I'm going to be in the fall of America. I'm going to be smelling good, though. You feel me? So I'm good. But make sure you tap in with my good brother Nose Candy. You can go to www.nosecandy.net, get the scented candles, perfumes, and colognes, all right? And then also, I wouldn't be right if we didn't talk about the Supreme Spring Water. This is black owned. Shout out to my student regional minister here in the Southern region, Student Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad. This is Supreme Spring Water. I know y'all like whatever type of water y'all like, but this is what you got to get. We got to support our own. We always talking about how everybody else support their own. The Asians support their own. The East Indians support their own. The Jews support their own. Well, if you want to be successful like them, you got to do the same thing. So we'll start with one of these products, right? So get you some Supreme Spring Water right here. It's beautifully packaged, as you can see. And it's spring water, and it comes straight from the mountains out of Tennessee. It's no reverse osmosis. This is good water. You should be drinking spring water anyway. Shouldn't be drinking purified. You should be drinking spring water anyway. So get the black owned spring water right here, Supreme Spring Water. And those who would love to become a part of our community, then you can join us by texting the word STC Podcast to 888-294-2793. Again, you can text the word STC podcast to 888. Dang, I forgot the number, 294-2793. All right, family. And then I think, listen, for those who have watched our series about closing the wealth gap in Black America with Brother Johnny Stewart, a Black Unicorn, I've been trying to send y'all the PDF all week of the 1,000 Next Strategy. So it didn't allow me to send it through text. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on my link tree. I'm gonna just make the PDF available on the link tree some kind of way, and then you can just pull it off a link tree, and then you'll be able to have it for there. So that's how we're gonna do that. All right. So appreciate you as well. Always. Thank you, brother Nathan. Always gotta support the Final Call newspaper. Right here. The new issue just came out today. So this was the issue from last week, Final Call newspaper, but you always gotta get you the number one Black publication on the planet is the Final Call newspaper. Right here, unadulterated, unfiltered, raw truth. News you can use. Get your own. Support the Final Call newspaper. When you see the brothers grab one, you should always have one. And we should be thinking about how we want to get more knowledge. And we can't get knowledge if we're afraid to read. Okay? Reading, as they taught us in school, is fundamental. Reading is fundamental. So that includes making sure that you grab a Final Call newspaper, because it's like we want to read everything but the Final Call newspaper, and it's like, well, how does that make sense? You're gonna read, the 48 Laws of Power, but you ain't gonna read, but you don't want to read the Final Call newspaper. What the hell is that? It make no sense. You ain't got no stock and no stake in the 48 Laws of Power, but you reading that, and you reading the Art of War, but you don't even know that you in war. So it says reading is fundamental. Fundamental means what? Serving as a basis, supporting existence, or determining essential structure. Fundamental. Serving as an original or generating source is primary. So reading is primary. Reading is the essential structure or function. It's basic. That's what fundamental means. Okay? It's of central importance. It's principle. Fundamental. Reading is fundamental. Belongs to one innate or ingrained characteristic as the original man on the planet Earth, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. It should be innate and ingrained in your characteristic, deep rooted, that you seek knowledge and that you read. The Quran. Prophet Muhammad was illiterate, and the first thing that Allah told him was Iqra, read in the name of thy Lord. That's how important reading is. It's fundamental. So they told you reading is fundamental. That means it's something that you missing when you're not reading. So let's fall back in love with reading. Not just the gangster soap opera books that we like to read. Not just reading the media blog posts on Instagram, but getting books. Get back to reading. That's why you miss so much stuff in the Bible, because you don't read it. Let somebody tell you what's in it, but you don't read it. Let's get back to reading. Let's grab your Final Call newspaper. All right, family? So look, I'm done. I'm going this time. All right, family? So we'll catch you back next week. Same place, same time. And may Allah continue to bless you with the light of understanding. Yes, you can get it digital. Man, they saving me in the comment section right now. You can definitely get the Final Call newspaper digital if you don't get the physical copy. But the physical copy is good because reading is an exercise for the brain. It's the exercise for the brain. When you're reading and you're introducing your mind to new words and new vocabulary, you're giving the brain exercise that it doesn't normally get if you haven't read. So what happens is the law of use is if you don't use it, you lose it. So if you don't exercise and challenge your mind, then you lose the power and the potential that you have with your mind. That's why you see like older people, they get like those word books and those word puzzles and stuff like that. They exercise in their mind. That's how they stay sharp. That's how they keep the mind on point, because you are constantly reading and you're doing the exercise and you're reading and you're working both sides of the brain now. So yeah, you can get the digital copy, and I encourage you to get the digital copy because you can have that joint slide right to your email. You can pop it up on your phone and you can read it, but get some physical books. If I can show you all of the books that I have in here, physical copies. Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad books, physical copies. Holy Quran, Bible, physical copy. I got the Bible on my phone too, but I got a physical. Went and bought a physical Bible. Holy Quran. I got another one too. This one kind of in bad shape, but I done had it for a minute, right? Reading. Physical copy. Physical, final call. I got the digital, but physical. Got to have it. Got to have it. You know, books, physical copies. Not just digital copies. We got physical copies of these books. See? Physical copies. Books. And these is new books. All these is all brand new books. I have not even cracked in. I haven't even cracked none of these yet. Haven't cracked them yet. But you're talking about Black Arabia. You're talking about the Mathematics of the Mind. 7 Jewels. What's this one? Yep, the 7 Jewels of God and the Hip Hop Conspiracy. So get the physical copies, all right? Because it's important. But all right, family. Now we going for real this time. So what's up, Blue Exodus? I appreciate you for tapping in. Always good, Brother Nathan. And shout out to Sister Abdul Noor, Sister Hagar. Oh, she come through. Shout out to Brother Vaughn, Brother Alfonso, Sister Alexia, appreciate it. NOI Arts, appreciate you for coming through. All right, family, I'm gone. Peace and blessings.
Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own.
You know. Not your average nigga, I'm a god out the hood. They can't downplay me. I came up, I'm elevated. I ain't gotta say too much for them to know I'm coming for what's mine. You know they see me in my presence, say they see how I'm coming. Young, but you not just gonna finesse me like you did my peoples. Then back when you said they was emancipated. This ain't that. Your head too big, you feeling yourself. The game wasn't fair, you had the advantage, we wasn't educated. I don't look at you people the same. Nah. Your worst nightmare, my skin tone about them chains. Yeah. Not no circus lion, son, I can't be tamed. You gon' have to kill me, pussy, Toby ain't my name. Y'all still want us think our history started when we were slaves? What? Come on now, talk about them pyramids we made. I was chosen by that man, you know y'all just been running game. The nerve of you acting like